A slow news day, the Los Angeles Herald reports B.F. Rector takes a day at the beach. Hey kids, welcome back. To recap our last video, Bartley Rector, we'll call him Frank, was born on March 14th of 1831. He, along with his parents and siblings, originally settled in the southern end of the Napa Valley in 1846. In 1857, Frank's grandmother, Mary Butler Rector, brought James Ann Crow, born February 14th of 1842, to California. On the 17th of March in 1858, James Ann and Bartley Frank Rector were married in the city of Napa. By the mid-1960s, William Rector, with Frank, James Ann, along with several other family members, left the Napa Valley, bound for the Anderson Valley of Mendocino County. In the late 1860s, the elder Rector, his mother Mary Butler Rector, and his son Thomas Rector all left for San Luis Obispo County, settling in an area known as Old Creek. Around 1870, James Ann asked Frank Rector to leave the house and never return. Several years ago, while I was in Ukiah, I found these documents. Here is a document I found in the Mendocino County Recorder's Office. This notarized document is from November of 1873. Details the purchase of 320 acres of property located in the southern end of the Anderson Valley by James Ann Rector from her husband, Bartley Franklin Rector. Frank Rector at the time was living in the territory of Colorado. He sold the land to her for $5 and the love and affection he has for his wife. On the 6th of September 1875, James Ann Rector made application to be a sole trader. As a sole trader, she would be able to purchase land. In 19th century California, married women were not allowed to buy land without their husband's permission. After James Ann acquired the ability to buy land without her husband's permission, she went on a bit of a spending spree, increasing the land size from roughly 320 acres to almost 400 acres. I learned all the ranchers in the Anderson Valley would get together once a year to take their sheep to market, as in those days it took about 3 days to get out of the valley. Meanwhile, Frank Rector made it to Kern County around 1880. I found in the Great Registry of California that Frank Rector was registering to vote and listing his occupation as a sheep shearer, working for the Rancho San Emigdio. I believe that's an old Mexican land grant. I believe also in 1882, Frank Rector was re-registering to vote, this time out of San Bernardino County. It was at this time that his daughter, Mary Jane, her new husband, Alonzo Robinson, came south to Kern County. They set up a ranch in the southern end of the Anderson Valley, of the Kern Valley. Their ranch became roughly 2,500 acres eventually. Frank lived on the ranch until his death on September 22nd of 1891. According to his death certificate, I believe he died of cancer. He passed in the Los Angeles Infirmary, Los Angeles, California. He is interred in the Woodlawn Cemetery of Compton, California. Meanwhile, back up in Mendocino County, from about 1870, James Ann raised her 4 children on her own in the ranch. She was a successful rancher, having raised 4 children, a couple of cows, a horse, and about 500 head of sheep. Sometime around the turn of the century, James Ann purchased a home in Cloverdale, just south of Mendocino County. James Ann lived there until her death in 1916, Cloverdale apparently was a lot warmer in the wintertime than the Anderson Valley was. In May of 1916, James Ann traveled to San Francisco to visit her son George. She passed away in her sleep at her hotel at 640 Eddy Street, San Francisco. She died on the 15th of May, 1916. She is interred in the Cloverdale Cemetery. Our next video will discuss your great-great-great-grandparents, Alonzo Burnham and Mary Jane Robinson. Until then, stay safe.